Alright, 12.4, we're going to go through the learn because it's going to be important to kind of know some of these terms and what the definition of a polynomial is. Okay, so when we talk about polynomial, it's just a term that involves only multiplication or division with constants and or variables. Okay, so here are some 3x negative 5xy squared, just the number 17, and then you have x divided by y. The number out front is called the coefficient, so we'll start talking about that. This x has a coefficient of a 3. This y squared has a coefficient of negative 5. Even this fraction right here, x over y, has a coefficient. It's understood to be a 1. Okay, so they're kind of pointing that out here. Okay, a monomial is just one term. It has a number, a coefficient out front, and maybe a variable multiplied raised to some power. Okay, whatever that power is, that's called the degree, okay, of that. The k is the coefficient. So the more you use these terms, you'll be more familiar with them. So here's one. The degree counts, I guess, the number of variables. That's the way I would like to say it. So instead of just looking at each number individual, since this is all one term, and we know it's one term because there's no separation between these terms with like a plus sign or a minus sign. So if it's all like stuck together, multiplied together, that would be one term. That's what they call a monomial. The coefficient is 4. The degree is 5 because there's 2 x's and 3 y's. So 2 plus 3 is 5, all in this one term. So if you have just a constant, just a number, the degree is considered to be 0. That's the same thing as saying 0 or x to the 0 power. And you might recall from previous, anything to the 0 power is 1. So this is like saying 17 times 1, which is still 17. So just some more definitions. Polynomial is a monomial and the sum or difference of monomials. So now we're talking about more than one term. The degree of the polynomial is going to be the largest term after like terms have been combined. So monomial, each of these individually are monomials. A binomial, kind of like a bike, has two terms. So now you see this separation. Here's a term, and then it's separated by a plus sign, and you have another term. So this is what we mean when we say terms. That's the separation of two individual terms to make a binomial. So it has a special name if it's two terms. And here's another one. Trinomial, kind of like a tricycle, has 3 wheels, has 3 terms. So you see one term here, separation with the plus sign. You have another term, and then separation with the minus sign, and another term. So there's your 3 terms. Be careful not to call 6 and x individual terms. They're stuck together. So when they're multiplied together, they're considered as 1. And then you have 3 terms here. So the separation with the plus and minus is what's separating the terms. Alright, so here's some practice problems provided by Hawks that they walk you through. We'll do several together. We're also going to start evaluating some of these polynomials. So we'll give you something like this, and then notice it says p of x. That's the way you read this, p of x, and it's showing you here, red, p of x, not p times x. So be careful, because I know it looks like multiplication, but you want to read it p of x. Alright, what this means is we're going to replace the x. So we had x, and now there's a 5 there. So what they want you to do is replace the x with a 5, and you're also going to do that in the equation. So everywhere we had an x, it was x squared. It's now 5 squared. It was 4 times x. It is now 4 times 5. And so everywhere you had an x, you replace it with that number, and then you solve it. Alright, so some examples here. Some more examples, and then that'll be it. So we'll jump over to Hawks and we'll start doing some.